we have a small presentation. It's really set out on the table. So Kevin was very keen that we would make a donation with any of the collection that we've had. So we have done that. So we'll be making a £225 donation to the Disaster and Mercy Committee to help children affected by war. So thank you to those of you that contributed. But we also just couldn't let you go without a very small gift. So there is just an opportunity for you to take your family out and enjoy a nice meal out and a few bottles of wine. There is the very large cake. I don't know what. I don't know what we're going to do. We'll get it cut up and share it, and hopefully there'll be some left for the family as well. Thank you. And it's probably, I think it says here, over to you.
Thank you. This is not my forte, but Berlin. This is the first time I've ever seen a retirement agenda. I've been to many retirements, but I've never ever seen that. So. Okay, and I'm going to refer to my notes the whole way through because we had a disaster last night and my rehearsal time got taken up. Thanks so much to all of you for your kind words. I will say my thanks to Jennifer, Gillian, Audrey and Lynn a bit later, but thank you, Jan. I know I'm not alone in acknowledging that you have been a breath of fresh air as our chair. Not that there was anything wrong with the previous chair.
Thanks for the compliment you've just taken away.
You are truly authentic in your values, and we know that you have the backs of our team and the people we serve in all that you do as chair.
Thank you.
On Monday I googled giving a retirement speech, and the advice was 5 things. Say thank you, which I will. Use a couple of anecdotes about your career, which I will. Don't make fun of others and be nice. Share your best memories and proudest achievements, and give people a break. Be no more than 10 minutes. I haven't timed it, but I think it's under 10 minutes. So yes, I've had a fairly varied career. Some might say colourful. Podiatry does feel like a very distant memory. However, my first anecdote relates to when I opened my podiatry practice in the centre of Lisburn shortly after qualifying. It was either arrogance or naivety. I quickly learned the importance of clear and unambiguous communication. I ran a Saturday morning clinic, and during one of my first clinics I heard the door buzz and went to answer. Standing there was a young woman who simply stated, "I have an appointment at 12. Certainly, come in," and we went to the treatment area. She pointed her wife over her boots and said, "Should I take these off?" "Yes, of course," I replied, and closed the cutter around her. I went to get a record card and came back asking me, "You ready?" "Yes," she replied. I pulled back the curtain, and this not unattractive woman was sitting on the couch in a jumper and her pants. To avoid ambiguity as to the definition of pants, it was not the American one. I realised that I'd been pointing to the leggings she was wearing when she asked the question about taking these off. I nearly panicked with flashes in my mind of being struck off with only weeks. Or worse, having an irate husband or boyfriend turn up afterwards. I quickly composed myself and explained to her there'd been a breakdown in communication. And that only meant the footwear. After giving a minute to regain her decency, I commenced the appointment. I don't know who was more mortified, but I can attest it was the most awkward appointment I ever had. I've avoided ambiguity ever since. My second memory of communication problem was shortly after joining Causeway Trust. As part of the role as a podiatrist, I had an afternoon of home visits every week. I could normally wangle these that I would have 5 in close proximity for obvious reasons. When your work was done, your work was done. At this time, I just bought a car previously owned by a well-known local TV and radio presenter who had kindly installed an early hands-free telephone kit. This is important. These kits were very basic at the time, a cradle close to hand, but you still had to push the buttons to call numbers. Nothing was automatic. This kit was compatible with my phone. On one occasion, I was in the unfortunate position of being given a list, not handpicked by me, of 5 quite widely distributed home visits. As a Lisburn townie, I wasn't familiar with some of the more rural and isolated parts of Causeway Trust. There were no Google Maps or sat-navs at this time. One of the admin team had kindly given me some basic directions for these visits. There was one address, however, that I simply could not find, and being resourceful, stopped the car and phoned the patient's landline to give me further directions. Even with these further directions, I was driving aimlessly, and in frustration said out loud, "Where the F does he live?" To which I heard, "I'll tell you where the F I live." more detailed directions instead of that until I arrived. I did apologise. Thankfully, the complaints process was much more tedious in those days. And I never heard any more of it. Lesson learned. That concludes the confessions of a podiatrist. But perhaps podiatry wasn't my true calling. I quickly moved into management after that, as Gillian has said, and moved about quite a bit. It's only last week that Gillian was reminiscing over fond memories of my time in Belfast. Your version slightly different. I think you described your thoughts at the time as, who is he, what's he doing here, and why is he so stern and angry? Which is clearly code for what a warm and engaging person that home for me has always been the Northern Trust, both as an employee and as a guest, as part of the turnaround support team. Such memories. This was when Neil became affectionately known as Denominator Neil, after advising Mary Hines on some basic mathematics when discussing performance. Never forgiven, you never crossed Mary. This was also the period of 16 months when I was known as a group of witches by Paul Cummings, who insisted on calling me Coven. Just his local dialect. The North Antrim accent is one of those things that I can't really place into a miss or not miss category. Talking of the North Antrim accent reminds me of a story shared with me a couple of weeks ago about our soon HR director. Jackie went into the local bakery and after scouring the displays, pointed into the cooler, asked the baker, "Is that a pavlova or meringue?" To which the baker replied, "Jackie, you're absolutely right, that is a pavlova." I will miss the accent. I came back to the Northern Trust in 2017, as has been said, as an AD within MEM, and was a yang to Audrey's yin. It'll be a shock to many of you to learn that Audrey is really quite competitive, but suffers the affliction of not being able to, of being such a wallflower that she doesn't say what's on her mind. So, our time as ADs in MEM was a good foundation for when we took up the director posts. Some bickering at times, but always in a productive and healthy way. Though, as Audrey has said, Neil did remind us that we reminded of his parents before they divorced. So the divorce papers are in the post. Audrey, you have been a great colleague and someone I could always confide and rely on. Thank you, and I will miss you. I took up my director post in 21, and thankfully all was just perfect. Such harmony. Although there were some issues, I was lucky to be working with such great teams, both as part of SMT and of SCS. To SMT, I can only say thank you. Some might say quite a motley crew, but certainly one that works well together. So many different personalities. Sorry, folks. Jennifer, always so professional in deed and word, but there's always something being plotted behind the smiling brown eyes. And how to deal with the wisdom of our masters. Thanks for all you do. You're a great example to the trust that you lead. Go Team North. Owen, best accountant in HSC, just ask him, he'll tell you. Genuinely, thanks for all your support over the years, and more recently, you and your team's support for the Hope for Tomorrow chemotherapy bus. It will make such a difference. Gillian, again, always smiling, but your eyes are sometimes saying, what have I done to deserve this? And maybe that was just when you were talking to me. Apologies for my rants, and thanks for listening. You'll be a great chief executive. Maura, I wasn't ignoring her. Honestly, I know she can't be here today. I realised yesterday that Maura is almost as emotionally and socially inept as me. We walked past each other and both nodded. And I was about probably 15 yards away, and then I heard, Kevin, I'll say cheerio now with sort of an awkward hug. Won't be there tomorrow. Have something in the department about homeless kids. I'm sure I'll bump into you sometime. I hope she didn't cry all the way home. Suzanne, I don't think you ever understood me. Thank you. I know Neil's there, but Neil, denominator Neil, that says it all. Paddy, thanks for your support and thanks to your team, especially through the tricky times of COVID. Oxygen will live long in the memory. And enjoy Australia. Petra, I hope you never again have the misery of ill-fitting trousers. I have never witnessed such angst as I witnessed last Friday when you were describing the pain and utter disappointment of putting on some new trousers only to find they didn't fit properly. Diane, the age-old question, have you sorted Dom current dementia case? You clearly have the patience of Job and yet can share such a genuine smile at all times.
Yeah.
Thanks for all your support. Dave, I will really miss your performance at Assurance Committee. You can barely contain yourself. Again, thank you for putting up with my odd rant. Jackie, you have such infectious enthusiasm and joy in your work. Unfortunately, I must have been immune. Thank you for all your support. And to my team, and I'm going to list Rebecca, Lynn, Mary, John, Kathy, Lynn, T, she hits that with it. Karen, Andrea, Colin, Matt, Jerry, Emma, Elaine, Sarah, Kim, Charlene, Paula, Pauline, Ashley, Julie, Barry, James, Andrew, Eddie, Sandy, and Johnny. I'm not going to embarrass you individually. You're all such dedicated and capable individuals. Every one of you always puts the care of our patients to the fore. I've always been able to rely on your expertise and counsel as we've navigated our way through and out of so many challenges. You've been amazing in dealing with all that has come our way. You've all great careers ahead of you. Thank you. You're in great hands with Lynn, and I'm sure she'll enjoy working with you as much as I have. It's been a real pleasure, and I'll miss you all. Finally, a couple of final things. So a special thank you to my PAs over the year, Kathleen, Pauline, Denise, and Mary Jo in this role, and Joanna my last. Quite a bit of turnover, but nothing personal. However, the best team I've ever been part of is our one, Claire, with G and John Rex. I look forward to spawning Rex and cooking dinner sometimes. I never overcommit. No doubt you remind me every once in a while that you're still going out down a crust.
Yep.
At this point, I'm meant to share my fondest memories and achievements. It's impossible to pick just one or two. What I can say is I'll fondly remember the people that I've worked with. As I retire, I'm looking to the start of the second half of my life. I can see, I'm doing the miles now, last quarter. Last third and an absolute backstop. Taking holidays, picking up old hobbies, starting new ones, and commencing my roles, as you've heard, as a non-exec. I will not, however, be buying slippers and vow never to wear a cardigan. He didn't mention Encompass, Nine Pimps or Nine Packs, I hear you say. I just did. Finally, Trevor and contributed charity for my leaving. This will make such a difference to so many this winter. Thank you all very much.